Hello, Way Church. Thank you very much. You can take your seats. Everyone say, Way. I bet you've done that, haven't you, since we changed the name? Like, Way. I'm going to change it to, see, while Ben's he's not giving me permission for this, but I'm going to change the church name. Let's call it Way-O. You're going to go, Way-O, Way-O. Please yourself. Very good. Well, it's so good to be here. I'm glad to see your faces from this angle as well. It's given me a chance to get my white T-shirt out of my white shoes. And it's just an honor to be here. I get excited about the ongoing phenomenal story of this church community. Don't you? I'm like, wow, just blown away again, not just by numbers, but just by people and stuff and stories that are just so powerful. It's okay if you kind of get a little bit animated this morning. You know, I've not been up here for a while, so I've got an hour and a half this morning, so you're going to have to get used to it. So I need you to be animated, and as always, if you agree, you need to say, way, and if you don't agree, then shut up. See me after. Answers on a postcard. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be here, seriously. And I look a year and a bit beyond my leadership and see the trajectory of the church going to another level. It's pretty annoying, actually. Which kind of shows it never really was about me anyway. Okay, all right. You know, you speak about legacy. This is legacy. It's flipping awesome. Let me say this to you. Because it never was about me. And let me just remind you that the legacy that I leave here is not about this site. It's not about this building. That is what the legacy has produced. But the legacy of my leadership are sat out there right now. The leadership of this community, the directors of this community, the people of this community are the legacy. And this is why it will go from strength to strength. This is what I'm going to say to you. That in this life, whatever you make about you will die with you. Whatever you make about the kingdom of God will live on beyond you and will increase. That's legacy. And I am so pleased. So I'm going to get on with what I've got to say, and it leads on very nicely because I'm speaking about kingdom this morning. And really, if you want a title, my title is Seek First the Kingdom. Everyone say seek first. Say the kingdom. So kingdom is made up, the English word kingdom is made up of two words. First one is king. Everyone say king. And the second one is domain. Everyone say domain. Kingdom is the king's domain. And when we look at the king's domain, what does that mean? The domain of the king is where the king rules. It's the ruleship or the ruling of Christ. And that's why the Bible says, seek first the kingdom. Seek first the rule of Jesus in your world. And that's kind of my focus for this morning, really, that if you are a Jesus follower, in your life, seek first the kingdom. And hear it, guys. You've heard this before, many of you hear it again. In your life, seek first the kingdom. In your work, seek first the kingdom. In your relationships, seek first the kingdom. In your business, seek first the kingdom. In your busyness, seek first the kingdom. Come on. In your marriage, seek first the kingdom. In your education, seek first the kingdom. In your decision making for life, seek first the kingdom. In your finances, seek first the kingdom. In your plans for your life, guys, seek first the kingdom. In your hurting, seek first the kingdom. In your sickness, seek first the kingdom. Am I making myself clear right now? In your challenges, seek first the kingdom. Seek first the kingdom is keeping the main thing in your life. You know, I think at the heart of the matter, and I know a lot of you guys, some of you I don't know, many of you I don't know. For those of you who I know, I believe that seek first the kingdom is our heart, right? I'm not challenging the fact that if we came round and said, you know, do you really want to seek first the kingdom? Most of you would say, do you know, that's really my heart. It's just that sometimes we struggle to live that. With all the stuff that's going on in the world and all the stuff that's going on in our lives and the busyness and the mess and the muck and the challenges and sometimes just the busyness of life, we struggle to seek first the kingdom. There are certain things that take us away from it. And I wanted to highlight just 3 things this morning that I think, and there are so many more, right? But we can all name them, but there are certain things that I feel I just wanted to share this morning, if that's okay. And things that take us away from seeking first the kingdom, from putting Him first in our lives. And the first one I'm calling this the shift of desire. The shift of desire. So there's this local church that I know. And when I think about this local church, it's just like this one, really. You could see very much similarities between this church and our church community. And within this local church, this happened, this shift of desire. So when I consider what this local church was like, there was stuff going on, and I mean good stuff. In the local church, there were things that were happening, good works, things that were positive for the community, all kinds of stuff that was going on, lots of activity. There were solid people. Turn to the person next to you and say, he's speaking about me, I'm a solid person. There were solid, okay, maybe not so many. There were solid people in this community. And the people, do you know what? Week in, week out in their lives, they were just sticking at it. There was a consistency that was going on. And in this church, right, there was a word from God. How many know sometimes we just need God to speak into a situation? And a word came from God. Everybody sits up and said, there's a word from God. And there was a word from God that came to this local church. And it went something like this. Do you know, guys, you're doing great stuff. There's some incredible things going on. All kinds of things, and a great commendation that I would make about this church community. But there is a problem. Everyone say, oh, way, oh. There is a problem. There's always a problem, isn't there? There's like lots of stuff going on, so many good things, but there's a problem. And God said to this local church, there is a problem. What's the problem? They all said, and God said this, you've lost your love for me. The spark of desire is not there. It's dissipated. It's gone. And this church, this local church, many of you will know and remember that this is a church in a place called Ephesus. This is a local church just like ours that was spoken about in Revelation, the last book of the Bible, in Revelation 2. Let me read you the words that it says, Revelation 2. To the angel of the church in Ephesus write, these things he holds, who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, who walks in the midst of the 7 golden lampstands. He says this, I know your works. Jesus says to you today, he knows your works. He knows the good stuff that you're involved in. I know your works, I know your labor, I know your patience. Wow, that ain't me. And that you cannot bear those who are evil. And you have tested those who say that they are apostles and they're not, and you found them liars. Wow, strong stuff. And you have persevered. God sees your perseverance and the patience that you have, and you have labored, God says, for my name's sake, and have not become weary. Nevertheless, I have this against you, that you have left your first love. Desire before discipline. Hear my words. Desire before discipline. Some of us are very good at the discipline of living like we should and being who we should be and doing the things that we believe Christians should do, and not bad things. It's like, well, I still read my Bible, and I kind of still get on my knees now and again, and I still speak to God, and I still do pretty good things, and I try my hardest, and all of this stuff. They're good disciplines. Let me say desire before discipline. Desire before discipline. That you can go through the motions of kingdom, but I want to say this to you, that discipline is always a poor substitute for desire. It always has been, and it always will be. I thought this week that desire never dies. You sit there and you say, you don't know my marriage. You don't know my work situation. You don't know my life. I'm telling you today that desire never dies. It just sometimes shifts. Wow. You see, God placed desire in us. It's something that's primal in the sense that God has created us this way. He has created us for desire. And if you think that you've lost desire, maybe you haven't lost it. Maybe it's just shifted to something else. Because it doesn't die, it just shifts. You see, if you have desire and you're heading in a certain direction, and even just 1 degree, you shift desire. How many know you're going to end up in a different place down here? Desire before discipline. My question really to us is, what current desire is taking you from your first love right now? What is taking you from seek first the kingdom? What is that thing? What is this season that we've just all been through? And through that season, you had a love affair. You never meant it, but you kind of got caught up with this thing or this person, and you had, or this group, and you had a love affair. Your desire shifted. And now your passion is attached to something else. So many right now just feel that. So many right now can just name that. You may not be able to say when this happened, but when you think about it, you kind of know. You know what, Dave? I'm not admitting it this morning, but I've had a bit of a love affair. And I'm not talking about being unfaithful in marriage here, guys. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that we can have a shift of desire, and during a season, and wow, how many know we've just had a season of the last few years where so much has happened and hasn't happened, and during that time it's possible that we fell in love with a thing, with a shift, and it kind of shifted a desire from seek first the kingdom to something or someone or a group of whatever. And now our passion is attached to something else. My message for you this morning is return to your first love. Return to your first love. It's time to return to your first love. Is this okay? Okay, I'll carry on then. Second thing I wanted to point out that moves us away from seek first the kingdom is what I've termed legitimate distraction. You know, I put that because sometimes we think all distraction is like evil. You know, I got distracted by this and it was evil. No, you know what? Sometimes we get distracted by legitimate things. Things that are okay in themselves. It's like they're not evil, but we get distracted by them. Let me tell you something about the enemy of your soul this morning. If the enemy can't stop you, he will try and distract you. And so many of us got distracted. When I think about lockdown, I said, oh, I was mentioning lockdown. I thought we'd moved on. Do you know what? I truly believe that the pandemic affected us more than we would ever admit or believe. During lockdown, you will maybe not want to remember, but I remind you this morning that there were many practices that we had, you know. Maybe seek first the kingdom, but maybe more, maybe lots of stuff. Maybe we're seeking first the kingdom, but there were lots of things during lockdown that we couldn't do anymore, right? We just couldn't do them anymore. So we couldn't go to work. Some people said, well, we had to do the stuff at home. How great was that? You know, kids around your ankles, trying to work, computer, dog around your head. Come on, trying to get some work done. Leave me alone. We couldn't go into the office. We couldn't meet with people. Do you know what? There was a time when we couldn't even meet with family. Some of you did it anyway. We know who you are. We didn't grass you up. But we couldn't do it, and it wasn't easy. Come on, it was a difficult time, particularly when Christmas came and it says, how many can we have in the house? It was easy for us. It's like, I know which of our family we don't want in our house. But we couldn't do it, and it was difficult. There were certain things that we could not do. We couldn't meet together as church community. We couldn't gather. Some of you were very pleased about that. Others of you were kicking off. It was so fun leading church during that time. We need to meet. We don't need to meet. What I wanted to do was get all those people together and let them fight. Let's watch. There were certain things that we could not do. Now, you know what? Meeting together, we choose Sunday to do it. Could be any time, and maybe other times that we meet together as church community. You know, being together on a regular basis, it's like, it's not everything, but it's pretty important. Well, I don't need it anymore. I'm okay without it. I still love Jesus in my own way. I'm still doing life for him. Do you know, the church was meant to be together. Jesus actually put us together. You know, the reality is like, if you could choose who church was, would you choose the person next to you to be here? See, Jesus has fitly joined together. That includes you and me. It even includes Australians. How dare you, God? It includes all nationalities with lots of different opinions. I'm not having a vaccine. They're not coming near me with that stuff. Give me as many vaccines as you like. It's all the church. So many opinions about theology, about life, about family, and Jesus has fitly joined us all together. And you know those people that see things differently? When we come together, and it's called church. The church. When the church comes together, there is a power like no other. There is something about being together. And we can worship, we can put Maverick City on at home, and we can have an awesome time. And, you know, I love doing that. But there is something about coming together. I love Jake Isaac, don't you? You know the funny thing about this? Jake came along, I don't know, a couple of years ago, whatever it was, with Tinu and the kids. And most of you haven't got a clue who he was. You didn't know he was an international superstar. It's like, my mum, who's that guy? Who was, I like him. My mum, I like him, who is he? Mum, I didn't even bother. But you know, there's something about when there's a group of people and it's like we're all focused on one thing. And it's like we're honoring the one who is about seek first the kingdom. And there's a power in the room. And there's a power for all kinds of stuff to purify our messed up heads. You know, I'm not against therapy, right? I've been. Seriously, I'm not knocking it. There are times sometimes where we need just help. We need help to figure some stuff out. All came after I led this church. I'm just kidding. Although I do plan to go back. So I'm not against that, right? But you know, there's sometimes, wow, in the presence of Jesus, God just deals with me. I'm like, whoa. I was here the other week, and Siobhan's up here speaking. She's just messing with my head. I'm like, shut up, Siobhan. Some of you say that anyway. I was like, Siobhan, please. And I'm realizing this is God, and he's saying some stuff. Like, wow. Wow. And not only that, he doesn't just unmess our heads. Healing can come. Healing in our mind, healing in our body. It's happened many times. Healing in our understanding. It comes when the church gathers together. There is an awesome sense of the presence of God that can do some things that we can't do on our own, Christians or not. And it comes in corporate worship. It comes in the corporate gathering. I think I made my point. So there's many things that we couldn't do during lockdown. So lots of us got distracted by activities that we could do. Simple as that. There were certain things we could do. I can go out for an hour. I can go and get some exercise. Was it half an hour, an hour? Some of you thought half an hour was 3 hours. Certain people who remain nameless, like, I went on a bike ride for 6 hours. You are in trouble right now. If the government would have caught you, you would have been in problems. And all kinds of activities that we could do. Almost to some of us, we started a little bit of a love affair. Because we weren't doing the others. And it's not that we didn't want to seek the kingdom anymore. And it's not that the distraction of going on a bike ride was like the end of the earth. It's like legitimate stuff. But it became a distraction. And there's other things that came that we began a love affair with. And it took us away from our first love. What was that? I spoke to a church leader, and he said there was a guy who was like, you know that term, oh, he was on fire. This guy was really on fire. He meant seek first the kingdom, right? He was all for God and his kingdom. And he wasn't a Jesus freak. Like, he was just like a practical guy, solid, doing some great stuff for God, part of the church community. After the pandemic, they never saw him again. Do you notice that? As some people never shown up again? Some of you were like that for a bit. Maybe just a bit bothered about coming back, but you came back. Some still haven't. This guy didn't come back, and this leader's like, what is wrong with this guy? What happened? So he phoned him up. He says, I've missed you. He says, what's gone on? He says, I ride my bike on a Sunday morning now. What? Yeah, I ride my bike. He had a love affair. Tell me riding bike's not legit. I've just got one. If you see me on the road, don't knock me off. I've got a lot of mates who do bike riding. They've not asked me to go out for a bike ride with them. Because they think they're better than me. But I'm just in training. You better watch out. And because I've not got lycra. Because I'm not a mammal. A middle-aged man in lycra. I'm not one of those. So I'll wear my jeans and I'll put my helmet on. They don't want to go out with me. Nothing wrong in riding a bike ride that's legitimate, but it can become a distraction. It's like golf. It's like all these things that are legitimate practices and a lot of other things. Loads and loads of stuff, and you're sat there and you think, wow, this is a legitimate thing. It's distracted me from the kingdom. It's like I'm supposed to be about seek first the kingdom, whatever happened. What happened to that stuff? It's legitimate, but it's a distraction. Final thing I want to say to you, third thing, is oblivious drift. Ooh, it's very drama-filled, isn't it? Oblivious drift. I think oblivious drift often is caused by the first two. A shift of desire and legitimate distraction actually can lead us to oblivious drift. Have you heard the term when someone drifts off? You see it, don't you? You know when your wife's talking to you for 10 minutes, you drift off, you know? I don't do that, but you know what I mean, yeah? A drift off. I find myself more and more doing that to football these days. Please don't mention the football. But I can be watching football and I drift off. Some of you are just doing other stuff. You could be knitting and just drift off. It's like when you gradually drop off to sleep. It's like you drift off. Some of us find ourselves in a place we are today because of drift off. It's like we've not stopped loving Jesus. We've not stopped believing the stuff that we believe, but it's like it's not seek first the kingdom anymore. It's like that stuff got in the way. It's like we had some thoughts during the pandemic and it's changed our view on some stuff, and that stuff got in the way, and we're not kind of seekers first of the kingdom anymore. We're more seekers of all these things will be added unto you. So we're more about the add-ons than we are about the first love. God God said to the local church, you lost your first love. Seek first the kingdom. I call this PDS. I told our Emma this the other day. I said, I'm speaking about PDS on Sunday. And I just waited for her response. She said, you just want me to ask what PDS is? I said, yeah. She said, just tell me. All right then. Pandemic drift syndrome. I made that up. Pandemic drift syndrome. Some of us have got pandemic drift syndrome. Some of us who've been part of the community are not here this morning. They've got PDS. They've drifted off. They've had a love affair with something else. And they are with their other lover this morning. Ooh, that's a bit harsh. You see, we got out of some normal practices of seek first the kingdom during the pandemic, and we never stepped back in. And the interesting thing is that I don't really think that anybody set out to do this. No one knew what the pandemic would do and how it would mess up with our lives and our heads. We didn't know that. So it was never our heart, but we actually ended up there, and it's like, how did I get here? It's called drift off. See, the thing is about drift is that it's oblivious very often. We are oblivious of the fact that we have drifted. We don't really know until we get there. Then it's a struggle to get back. Like once when the kids were young and we went to Spain and we're on this pedalo. We're having fun on the pedalo and diving in the water and getting back on the pedalo and really enjoying life and trying to have some fun and get on with it. And after a while we looked and the shore seemed so far away. Seriously. I'm panicking inside, not telling the kids. We were a long way off. And it was a real struggle to get back. And we obviously made it, you know what I mean? Because I put my superhero Speedos on. And I pedaled very hard. But it was hard work. You know why? Because there was a strong current. Really dramatic. There was a strong current that was leading us out to sea. And the sharks were turning up. And it was going dark and cold. And the kids were crying. That last bit wasn't true. The kids were loving it. And the current was so strong it was taking us out. It was hard work to get back. It was a struggle, but we got back. And here's the good news. We can come back. You may think it's a struggle. You know why? Maybe because of relationship in your life. You look and you think, wow, if I come back, what's going to happen there? You may think, what will I do with this love affair that started during the pandemic? And I really like that, and I've got a liking for it. And what's going to happen? You know what? It might be a struggle. It may be a big decision for you, but you can pedal back. You can come back. As far as God's concerned, there isn't any pedaling. There may be some pedaling practically that we need to do to put some stuff in place to come back to our first love. But let me tell you, Jesus says, come back, love. Come back, love. I missed you. Can't say that the church has missed you. I don't want to make this just about attendance for church. Come on, hear me this morning. We're bigger than that. We know the importance of being together. It's bigger than that. It's seek first the kingdom. You know the kingdom's bigger than the church? Oh, did he say that this morning? That was my interpretation of what Jake Isaac sounds like with a female voice. I'm going to run from Jake Isaac. Have you seen the size of him? Flippin' heck. Forgot you were there. my son. You're all right. You're all right. Notice he put the fingers up then. Not badly. Just with the gold on. Jesus stands with his arms wide open. And he says, come back, my son. Come back, my child. Wow. That desire can shift back. Come on, it's not too late. It can shift back. You can still do legitimate stuff, come on, that isn't a distraction. Doesn't have to change your whole trajectory of life. Some of you have been oblivious to the fact that you've drifted so far. It's like, wow, how did I get here? And what I'm going to do with this right now, because I'm bringing this right in, and the band are kind of playing like that because it's like, shut up, Dave, it's time to sing. So what we're going to do is we're going to sing. And we're not just going to sing, we're going to, not like he's not already here, but it's like, Jesus, we need you. Come on. Jesus, we need you. Whatever happened, God, that I thought I could do this on my own. Wow. God, how did I ever get to a place where I thought that I could just deal with this and be a hip Christian, I love Jesus, but I don't go anywhere. I do this on my own. Whatever got me to a place that I feel that I could do all these disciplines, but my desire has shifted, and Lord, I've kind of lost, my love has lost that spark for you. Whatever thought that we could do this on our own, and we just invite, like I said, not that he's not here, but it's like a cliche, I suppose. We invite the Holy Spirit and say, God, just soften my heart right now. Just soften me. And we're gonna stand, which I'm going to ask you to do with me right now. Come on, let's stand. And we're going to sing together. And we're just going to sing to Jesus. I don't know what we're singing, mate, but can we sing a song to Jesus? Can we? We're going to sing to Jesus, and I just want you right where you are to say, Jesus, for me and my family, it's seek first the kingdom. It's seek first the kingdom. For me first, it's seek first the kingdom. Come on, that there's all kinds of things that you may have shifted from a little bit, and it's like just an incy-wincy move of desire, and it's like it's taking you down this route, and you're still doing all the disciplines, and you're still trusting God, but there's like some of that desire that's dissipated or it's gone. And I want you to say, God, let me see you in all your beauty. Let me see who you are. Let me see what you are. Let me see what you've done. Just let me see. Give me a glimpse, Lord. Give me a sight of my first love. Wow. Do you know, I just had a flip back to when I saw Helen, my wife, for the first time. And I said to the guys around me, who is that? There was something about that sight. We just need to come back. We need to come back. We need to come back, church. We need to come back because it's seek first the kingdom. So you know what I'm going to ask a response for? Not with your hands, but with your hearts. And I want you to do it where you are. I'm not out to embarrass you. I just want to nudge and say, God is still for you. He's still for your family. And it's seek first the kingdom. Let's have a glimpse of who Jesus is. Thank you.